Wagwan sports fans, welcome back to another episode of Studio Talks. And I'm your host, Jomar.
I'm Rush.
And this is This or That Sports TV, the place you guys come to get the best, most interesting, and riveting sports topics, discussions, and debates on the internet.
Yes, people. Before we get into today's episode, don't forget to like the video. Leave a comment under this one and subscribe to This or That Sports TV. The one more thing, do.
Share the video to at least 10 people, but ensure to get us 6 subscribers. No, this is 7.
Jaja. Jaja.
So at least, so like how we have 7 finger, just get us 7 subscribers today. And if each and every one of you guys can manage to do that, you know how many subscribers that get us by the end of the day? People are almost at 6,000.
Yeah, almost at 6,000. We hope to get there very soon. But I've been watching back a few of our videos, bro. And you know, I'm gonna realize that when I think we tell the people Happy New Year, bro, since January start.
That dark.
Happy New Year to all our viewers, to all the subscribers. Thank you guys for supporting us and keep sharing our videos. I hope 2023 is a great year. Definitely hope it's better than 2022. What you have to say, bro?
But the New Year's,
Yeah.
just subscribe to This or That Sports TV for a happy 2023.
Yeah, if you do that, the year can't bad. Once you subscribe to this other sports TV, the year can't bad. Many
Oh,
things.
oh,
Yeah, that's true. But people, it's Studio Talk, as Jomar said, and before we get into the show, we have to give you guys the lineup. So give them the rundown real quick.
well, first and foremost, in the last episode, I kind of slipped up. I hope that you guys would have seen it and overlooked it. But in this episode, I think that I'm on my game. So in today's show, Grimmy, as they call him, the coach, Hallgrimson, has called up a 32 man training roster that will happen sporadically between all the FIFA dates. We'll speak about that. Then after that, we'll speak about the All Manning versus All Acosta Cup game, the clash of the Titans, and it was a nail-biting end-to-end battle that finished with penalty shootout. And lastly, we'll close it out on our weekly English Premier League show, people. Full jam-packed schedule. Stay tuned. Studio Talk.
Yeah, like a good show. And I'm excited to talk about a few of these topics. So people, stay tuned to Studio Talk and we'll get into the first one after this. Yes. Studio Talk. We're well on our way. Bro, Coach Hallgrimson hit the ground running. He's back on the island. He's not even a week on the island yet. And we see him at Premier League games. We see him, calling up his training camp, his local training camp, having meetings. Adidas deal full in swing. I see people wearing them gear already, the Gen Sec. What is going on? This is a new JFF, But what are we seeing? I'm not even seeing anybody beating the JFF now for a change. How do you feel about the coach, his presence on the island, and just the feel around the JFF and the national teams?
JFF feels like a FA. It feels like
Yeah.
an actual FA and not like a party shop as it's so been dubbed before. The new sense of professionalism, the new sense of aggression, the new sense of assertiveness, and this go-getting attitude that we've seen introduced by the new faces that have been introduced to the program. We're really enjoying it, and I think the first project that this JFF will take on under 17, I think it will go off with a success because of this attitude. Hallgrimson, his presence is giving Gareth Southgate, bro. I'm really enjoying his fervor and his attitude towards Jamaican football. He's definitely inculcating himself in the culture, and he's working full time. He's expressing the mantra, representing the mantra that being a national team head coach is a 24/7 job. It's not a FIFA date job, or it's not a 9 to 5. It's a 24/7 job, and at every given point in his life, from 12 midnight to 12 noon to 12 midnight again, he's the national head coach of Jamaica, and he's showing that attitude perfectly, and I think it's going to represent within the program.
Yeah, I agree, and one thing we have to mention is the feel. The feel is different. I don't see much negativity towards the appointment in terms of the coach. From it was announced, I didn't see any negativity. In terms of the work that he's done, we lost the game against Argentina. I didn't see any bad comments. I didn't see any negativity. We went to Cameroon and we did something there. Didn't see any negativity. No, the under 17s have been called up. not seeing any negativity. You know, the Gensek appointment, not seeing any negativity. You know, just the feel.
Some negativity regarding the Gensec. A lot of people have been saying Dennis Chung doesn't know anything about football. A lot of people have been saying he's not the
Well,
right
the
guy.
people that matter and the people that count.
Eh,
The people that I don't see any of the big talking heads, you know, that people really tune it. I don't really see much of them against the appointment. You know, obviously, people on social media, maybe some of our supporters are not so enthused about that move. But as I was saying, the feel around the JFF is different. It's
for sure.
different to, let's say, 12 months ago. You know, it's a different JFF. It's a different. The things that they're doing just feel a bit more genuine. It feels that we're taking steps into the right decision. And this coach, I feel like he's the man that on the football side and on the development side, he's the man that is leading the charge. Because yes, we spoke about Dennis Chung and not necessarily being a football man, but Coach Hallgrimson is a football man. And he's done it at the highest level. He's been to the World Cup, he's been to the Euros, and you know, we've seen his success. And hopefully that can translate to Jamaican football. No, you hinted at it a while ago. He called up 32 players for a local training camp. And this is players, as I said, local players. So I'm not going to go through this list, but it is on the screen for all the people that are not familiar with the list just yet. When you look at this list, bro, what jumps out at you? What do you think? What comes to mind when you think about this 2-day training camp?
I think it's ingenious. I'm really enamored with this idea, and this is something that should have been done for a while, and I think it's something that should continue to be done. Upon looking on this list first, the first thing I thought about was a Jamaica B. We see teams like England have under 21s, and I think that's the direction that we should go into. Like, I think it should be a local under 23 squad. But there are going to be exceptions and outstanding players that have to get a look in. So I can understand how we can't go in that direction just yet. But I think going forward, this core of players that have been called up, and I've seen a lot of young players, but don't get me wrong, there's some 17-year-olds on this list and some 18-year-olds. But I think going forward, it should be an under 23 type situation where there's like 30 at the best under 23 or under 25 players who have potential to then make the move to the next level. But I like the idea of getting a group of players together and seeing where the local talent is. I genuinely don't believe that anybody playing locally should get into the squad, but there's a lot of people on this list that are on the verge of leaving. And on the moment that they do leave and get their professional contracts, the coaches would have already been familiar with them if they get to franchises. So this is a great idea. And
Yeah, I agree.
I want to see this squad, this 30-man squad, be kept together somewhat and be playing friendly matches as well.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from the coach and what is his idea on this training camp. Is it to search for that one or two more players to add to your, let's say, list of 30 or 35 that you will always play? Is it to, start a culture, of the way Jamaica wants to play and get that down to the clubs? What is the idea? Because as you said, I would not want to see any local player in the national team that is over the age of 21. But if we're going to make a secondary team, it needs to be under 23. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing players here that are over 22 years old.
Yeah.
So if the idea is to, let's say, have a Jamaica B, it can't be just willy-nilly best players playing at the local level. No, it needs to be the best players under 23 that has a legitimate shot of making it into the senior team. Other than that, calling up 28-year-olds just to train, nah, that's not the idea that I have. And I think, this is probably the entrance to our under 20. I'm seeing a lot of young players, and don't get me wrong, and I'm excited for those young players that are in the squad. But I would love to just hear from the coach, what is the idea? Where do you think he's going with this? And under 23 Jamaica B type of thing, or just, to invite the best players from the country to push one or two of them into the national team? Where do you think he's going with this one?
Well, yeah, and we say under 23, and I think that would be the best possible situation for this. However, there are probably players on the verge of international contracts. So for example, an Amal Knight would have been playing in Harbourview just a second ago, right? Based on what I believe, Amal Knight would not be eligible to play for the national team. However, Amal Knight would have been in and around and going through contract talks to go overseas. So I think this is probably a camp to see all the people who might be eligible to play for Jamaica, and the moment that they get their move or the moment that they show that they can play at a professional level, at a high level, the coaches have already been familiar with them. So I think that's what he's going for. However, I don't think this is the place for that. I think if you're going to have a B team, it has to be at least under 22s. I think that's where it needs to go. But I like the idea, and
Yeah,
there is a lot of youth in the team.
yeah, that's the one. That's the one bad thing I can say, and that's not even a bad thing because I
Yeah,
don't know where he's going with this. And that's the one thing, the one negative I can think about. In terms of the positives, I love it, man. I think that this is where it starts. This is where our culture starts. This is where the people know the idea and the direction of the coach. Whenever we have, let's say, a call up, we have an international window and some players pop out and are injured, we can, introduce players seamlessly into that, or one or two players seamlessly into that. Let's say we have an international window in March where we play the Nations League and one of our players go down. Let's say it's not a main player, but one of the fringe players go down. The 18th man go down. We can look to this training camp and say, oh, I know a player that stood out the last two times I called a training camp. Let's go for Dujan Richards. Let's go for Malachi Douglas. Let's go for Ramon Noel, or and that would make sense. So I love this idea. I love knowing the players that we have that can represent Jamaica. What I want to know though is, do these players have a real legitimate chat? And I'd love to ask the coach that, can these players make the squad? Because if we think about our last two squads that represent Jamaica, barring the Cameroon one, these players have no shot. If we think about those players.
but you think about an English B, who would have seen the likes of Cameron Archers and Ali Watkins and Max Aarons and stuff like that in their time being called up for the England B. England B calls up 25 people every single time. How many of those people would realistically have a shot to ever play for the English national team? Because chances are, if you can play for the English national team, regardless of your age, you're going to be called up in the first team. So you don't know what the future holds. So they probably don't realistically stand a chance of making it into the national team. No, but I'm saying they're one contract away. They're one step away from proving themselves. We speak about Amal Knight. I think Amal Knight being at Harbourview, the goalkeepers have to be Andre Blake, Dylan Barnes, and Kanaya Boyce Clark. But no, Andre Blake in USL. No, Amal Knight is back in USL. I could well see that it could be Andre Blake, Amal Knight, and Boyce Clark, or Dylan Barnes. You get me? So that's just the difference from you playing local and international. So a lot of these players, they don't know where they might be next season. Kimo Jones, Malachi Douglas. Who knows what they will be? What they will be in 2 years? Ramon Howell. Who knows what they'll be in 2 years? So they might not realistically have a chance to play for the senior team right now, but who knows? In 2 years they might.
Who are some omissions? Who are some of the players that you expected to be on this 32-man list that you don't see?
Okay. So all season we've been singing the praises of Dujan Richards and Shakwan Satchel, right? As the two best players that played in the Manning Cup, and I think two of the best players that have played in schoolboy football. Upon reconsideration, second glance, reevaluating and analyzing the situation, I do believe that Romain Blake would have been not only the second best player to play in the Manning Cup, but the second best player to play in all of schoolboy football. A central defender, I think he's criminally underrated, as rated as he is. I think he's still underrated, and I think if Okimo Jones and Malachi Douglas and Deshaun Richards are called up in a program based on their performances in the Chapitan Maroon, Malachi Douglas is not even a player who would have featured for Chapitan Maroons as much as, let's say, a Devante Hodges, or a Romain Blake for the Waterhouse team, Marco Najic, who came and started right away for his Premier League team. Malachi Douglas wasn't necessarily a mainstay or starter in the Chapitan Maroons team. So to see him called up, and then to see the likes of a Romain Blake omitted, I think that's treacherous. I think that's criminal because Romain Blake is indeed next up. And trust me, Mr. Speed might not like me saying this, but Richard King, watch your back. Because this little 17-year-old, he's coming. And there's no indication right now that Richard King's a far better defender than he is. Romain Blake is one of the best defenders in the JPL. And I think that's unequivocal. And to not have him in a team like this, I think it's criminal.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's the first thing that jumped out at me. In fact, I went over this list 3 times before
Yeah.
we came on here because I just wanted to know, am I not seeing something? It didn't even make sense to me. I saw the first line is where the Waterhouse players are, and only 2 Waterhouse players made the squad. Kemar Foster, who has been outstanding
Outstanding.
for Waterhouse, by the way, and Ramon Howell, who's their captain, and also has been outstanding.
Yep.
But right after those 2 players, if you were going to mention another player for Waterhouse, it would have to be Romy and Blake. And somebody said,
Because only played I think 4 games this season though,
and
because the recent completion of schoolboy football. But Waterhouse's fortune has turned completely around. Like a pendulum has swung as soon as Romain Blake walked into their central defense, and he's been a revelation for them. And I think he's one of their best players and one of the best defenders in the whole Jamaica Premier League. And if the likes of Akimo Jones and Malachi Douglas have been included, I think there's no way that Romain Blake should have been left out.
yeah, I agree. And when I look at the list and the caliber of players that are there, yes, they are good players. I'll think about Simpson from Arnett Gardens and some of those defenders, good players.
Yeah.
But Romain Blake is right in that class with them, and he's 17 years old. So even
Richard
if
Kings, the
Richard Kings, and
Jamal
even
Topis,
there we go, Jamal Topi. If those players are indeed better than him, it's not by a lot.
no,
And he's 17 years old, which would then make him on potential higher than them and give him even more of a reason to be in this training camp because he's 17 years old.
he's going to I think probably going to captain the Jamaica under 20 team in the next cycle. You know, like that. Well, I don't know if under 20 different because he already played under 20. So I'm not sure if that makes him eligible. I know that for the under 17s they only get one quartet. I'm not sure if it's different for the under 20s. But
Right.
if it is a case where he is eligible to play under 20s again, I think he'll be the captain of that team because he has one more cycle in him. So
Yeah.
I think Romain Blake should have been called up. He's been outstanding in the JPL. He's been outstanding in schoolboy football. One of the best young players in the country right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a few players that I'm excited to see. Nicholas Hamilton for Harborview, I feel like he's a really good player. I really think this kid should get a, well, not a kid, he's a big man at this point, but I really expect him to get a move very soon. You know, he stood out for Harborview last year in the Premier League, and this year he's right up there as their best player. Another player I'm excited to see is Ramon Howell. He was introduced into the senior setup. I don't expect him to have the role that he played, you know, not necessarily getting as much game time, but he's definitely on the fringes of one of the best players in the JPL. As a midfielder, he is outstanding, man.
Every single time, like Jamaica doesn't boast their full complement, and even many times when they do, Ramon Howell is still included. He was
Yeah.
a very good player in the Cameroon tour. He really stood out, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he traveled with the team to New York when they played against Argentina. So Ramon Howell is one who possesses great quality. He's one of the best central midfielders in the country. I really, really, really would love to see him make the move internationally. I think Howell makes a move, he's a mainstay in this Jamaica national team. I really do
He's
believe.
good enough, man. He's a good player. Very good player.
So I'm excited to see what more from him. And he's not too old. I think he's 26 years old. So I think
Yeah, and another player that I'm expecting this, you know, just a conversation on this player to be a segment by itself in another show. But Whisper getting the look in is a big deal. You know, Dujan Richards, another 17-year-old, standing out in the schoolboy football, and that is the only reference point for him. But he did so well that no one can say, yo, we're unsure what he can do at with playing with grown men in the Premier League. 17 years old, Whisper being the best player in schoolboy football, getting a look in and invited to the senior, a local training camp. That is a big deal, and I'm excited to see how well he does in this training camp. We obviously can't get an eye in, but I'm sure we'll hear some whispers coming out of the camp. How do you feel about Whisper getting the look in?
I'm going to try and get an iron. The camp started today, didn't it?
Yes, it started today. I'm not sure if it is even an open training session.
Yeah, I might attempt to stop by UA tomorrow. Who knows? Let's see where the wind blows. But I definitely want to see how Dejan Richards looks in this training situation. I hope he really impresses. He's the one person I think that might have a chance to make it into the senior team come March. Not because he's the best on this list, even though God knows he may well be, but that might be a stretch. But not because he's the best on this list, but I think because he has the most potential of anybody on this list. And I hope he goes to that camp and dominates like we know he can.
That's right. That's right. People, this is the first segment of Studio Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. Let us know your opinion. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section and in the live chat. How do you feel about this training camp? Does it make any sense to involve these local players in a training camp? Does any of these players have a legitimate chance of making it into the senior team? Let us know in the comment section. Please talk to us. Who are you excited to see in this 32-man squad? And which player you expected to see that missed out on it that you want to talk about? Mention those names in the live chat, please. It's Studio Talk, and we'll be back with the second segment after this. The Studio Talk. People's schoolboy football wrapped up last week, and we're here to talk about the final game in a great season, I believe. The All Manning versus All Costa Cup game. It was an all-star game, and we saw some all-star performances, a really entertaining game. Joma was there on the ground, so he'll definitely give us some insight into what he saw. Let's do a quick review of the all-star game, bro. Talk to me.
So the game basically kicked off, succeeded I think an interesting award ceremony. And I thought more people would have come out to watch, but unfortunately, this game and the award ceremony did not get as much support as I would have hoped and expected. However, we did see one Dejan Richards win every possible individual award that he could have won, winning the MVP for the Champions Cup, winning the MVP for the Manning Cup, winning the leading goal scorer for the Champions Cup, the leading goal scorer for the Manning Cup, winning the schoolboy football MVP, and just getting every single possible individual trophy that he could have possibly received. And I thought that award ceremony was interesting. Also see Malachi Douglas be awarded with the MVP for the Da Costa Cup, and we just saw a myriad of awards. I think it was a read from Glenn Muir giving the award for the Ben Francis Cup. It was a good award ceremony. I liked the initiative. These boys really, really deserved the plaudits and the adulation that they would have received towards the end of the season. And it's a huge step, big initiative by Issa. I saw a lot more trophies than there were at the Decided Sports TV Awards. I can tell you that. But I think our award show was just slightly better. And then after that, the boys got changed and they got warmed up, and you saw the coaching staff. It was Leonard Hyde, and I think he was accommodated mainly by his Clarendon College's coaching staff, and the same with I was going to say Miguel Coley, but I meant Davian Ferguson, of course, from Jamaica College, the two coaches. We spoke to them before the game. Nobody, they both stayed tight-lipped about their warm-ups and who would captain the team, but after the formalities, the game would kick off. Xavier Davidson and Malachi Douglas led both teams out. A big thing that I was looking out for, who would get the start between Rasika Rose and Akeem Bernard. And apparently going into the training camp, they did 2 training sessions. They didn't know who would have been the starter, but I think Pusai, as is affectionately called, really earned his name. And we here do genuinely believe Akeem Bernard is the best goalkeeper in schoolboy football, so he rightfully so got that start in the game. So
90 minutes though.
Yeah?
90 minutes though.
Yeah.
It's a penalty shootout.
And he wore the armband after Davidson came off. The armband was given to him.
Were you surprised at that decision from Ferguson?
To start Akeem Bernard?
Not just to start him, but for him to play 90 minutes and play
I was surprised. I'm wondering if Rasika Rose is still ailed with the slight injury that he tended to throughout the season, because that would be the only reason why they wouldn't have made that substitution. They're both very good goalkeepers, very competent.
In an all-star game after all.
Yes, I'm definitely surprised that Bernard played the full 90 minutes, but maybe Rasika Rose at one point he didn't have his boots on, so maybe coming into the game he probably just knew that he wasn't going to play or whatever. But doesn't matter, Rasika Rose is an all-star.
One thing I will say though, going into a penalty shootout, I would definitely want Hakeem Bernard over over Rasika Rose. That kid, the personality on that kid, his confidence, and he's definitely a good shot stopper in a penalty shootout. That kid will pull off a save in a penalty shootout.
And
So
he's
I feel like that probably went into the decision also late. When Ferguson thought, yo, this kid probably can give you a show right now. He's good at penalties.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have gotten to the point where it got late. It should have been a halftime
Yeah,
substitution. That's
for
just
sure.
like
I agree.
you saw the Doncaster Cup team do it. Where they just at halftime they went from Daniels to Morgan. But
Morgan.
yeah, the game kicked off, and it was I could have seen the quality disparity between Urban and Ruel.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the quality put on display from the Manning Cup was simply better than the quality put on display from the Doncaster Cup. And I think that was shown especially in the initial stages of the game. Because the likes of Makwan Aldrich and Zane Pinnock and Kevin Wilson and Shaquan Satchel and Dijon Richards, they weren't firing. They weren't firing at all. But yet still they still managed to maintain position. They still managed to get themselves into good chances. It was the same, however, with the Da Costa Cup team, just not as prevalent as the Manning Cup team. But they did get in early, and forcing an amazing save out of the aforementioned Hakeem Bernard, and he got down really well. For a man, he's about 6'3". And he gets down so quickly. He's at least 200 pounds, I can tell you that. And he gets to the ground so quickly to make those saves with his hands that other goalkeepers might attempt to go with their foot. It's very impressive how agile he is for the size that he is. And Malachi Douglas would have really wanted that one back. And Hakeem Bernard forced to make an early save. And after that, I think the Manning Cup team got into their game. We saw Zane Pinnock very animated. He was really trying to hype his teammates up, telling them to get their act together. And eventually they would, and the play started from McConaughey playing Zane Pinnock through the lines. We saw Zane Pinnock play at a centre forward role. I'm a bit surprised. I thought Zane would have played wide and McConaughey should have probably played in the middle. But Zane was playing the centre forward role and Macron played it down the line to him. And he took it like a boss and cut it back perfectly for the man they called Saka. Not getting to the number 10 today because that 10 was owned by one Dijon Richards. And Saka got the Manning Cup team off to a start. I think Kevin Wilson had a stinker of a game.
But he,
He
but he
was
was on the score
he,
sheet.
he was so bad. I don't think he did anything right except for put that ball in the back of the net, and
Well taken goal, by the way.
he did take that with class. And on the other end, Malachi Douglas would have gotten his chance at redemption. And this time he took it with much more class, just taking it beside of Bernard and making absolutely no mistake about it. And I think the scores at halftime, they went in at 1-1. The Manning Cup team, as I said, definitely showed that they have a lot of quality. They definitely showed that they have talent. But somebody who stood out for this Manning Cup team was Nicoy Gale. And a lot of the pundits, on the sports maxes or whatever, they won't give this kid his adulation, and I'm not sure why. Because he was remarkable. I think he was the man of the match for the Manning Cup team. And I think he played 90 minutes, missed a penalty. Because he did step up and he missed a penalty, unfortunately. I don't know what's up with these stats people are missing penalties because stats missed 2 penalties in that penalty shootout. But
Yeah.
uh, Nico Agile throughout the game, he was just spectacular, man. He held his position, he was disciplined, he made the right passes, he cut out every single play, and I think he was the standout man for the Manning Cup team. Dijon Richards did not have the best game, but he capitalized on a mistake against Clarendon College defenders, as he already did like a few times before. And I think the likes of Hodges,
It was deja vu. That goal was deja vu. It was
yeah,
similar to the one that was in the Champions
yeah,
Cup.
it was very similar, and he locked onto it. Dijon Richards is so fast, Rush. Oh my
And
goodness,
so,
he's so speedy. He was accelerating at levels only expected by a track star, and he got the
Like,
ball and took it in his stride.
it's so weird. Hold on, never stop, never cut it. Because I was watching the game and I was saying to someone, this kid could be an athlete, like a track athlete.
Yeah,
Because I've seen him run,
yeah,
and a lot of people are fast, but he's not just fast, he's powerful.
yeah.
Those people that run, they run by you and you feel breeze. He's one of those players. He's one of those people that I honestly believe Dejan Richard could be a four bills,
And, and,
star.
and he runs straight up, good posture, and he extends his long legs, and he really gets going really, really quickly. And I think that's exactly what I saw when I was watching him lock onto that loose ball, and he took it in between the two defenders and finished it with class. And nobody expected anything different. And it was like, of course, Dejan Richard got his name on the score sheet.
Just count it, man. Just
Not,
count it.
not his best performance, but he definitely did manage to come out with something out of the game. The tempo of the game started to die down after this because it's an all-star game after all, and we saw where the substitutions started to rein in. And I think the Manning Cup brought in substitutions, and it definitely dropped the tempo of the game, and I think Lenny Hyde was more hesitant to make his substitutions because I think the Doncaster Cup team wanted to win. So I
Yeah.
don't think Lenny Hyde made all of his substitutions. I do think that there were some people still on the bench. The only person who didn't play for the Manning Cup team was Rasika Rose. He was the only person who didn't play for the Manning Cup team, but the Doncaster Cup team did have a couple of people that didn't play.
I wonder, didn't they play everybody?
The Doncaster Cup team?
Yeah.
No, because at the end of the game we saw Nixon was still on the field, we saw Douglas was still on the field, and I think so I think that I think the Lancaster Cup team didn't play everybody. I think there was one or two people that probably didn't get a chance to go on the field, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe they started with less people. I don't know, but yeah, towards the end of the penalty shootout, they definitely had a few players. Although it was the same with the Manning Cup team because the Manning Cup team had Romain
Gale.
Blake and Nicola Gale on at the end of the game. So maybe they did play everybody. But he used his substitutions more sparingly. Let's just say the Manning Cup players, they played more minutes than the Costa Cup players.
And I feel like the Costa Cup team came into this game with a chip on their shoulders. It's always said that the best talent is in the Manning Cup, and the Manning Cup is better than the Costa Cup, and blah blah blah. So I feel like these players actually came. You could tell that they wanted to win this game a little bit more than the Manning Cup players.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to win it more than the Manning Cup players. And Reed managed to get on the score sheet as they do, as the Clarendon College people do. He managed to get on the score sheet and bring the game into penalties. By the time the penalty shootout was going on, I was not very excited for it because not many of the big guns were on the field. I'm happy that Hakeem Bernard was still on the field to provide some entertainment. Moy Morgan had an exceptional penalty shootout. He was a standout goalkeeper in schoolboy football this year. Upon hearing about his heroics with a Stets team that just wasn't their normal Stets self. He really showed up and deserved his call up, and Romeo Daniels was the standout keeper for the Costa Cup, but Moy Morgan was close behind, and he came on and he saw the quality of goalkeeping didn't necessarily fall off, and he made an outstanding save in the penalty shootout that won them the game. As you said, the Manning Cup team, when they missed their penalties, it was like whatever. They knew that it was irrelevant. They laughed. It was okay. When the Costa Cup players missed, you could see the despair on their face. Captain Douglas had to comfort them all the way at the penalty spot and put his hand around them and console them. As compared to the Manning Cup team who were like, oh well.
Yeah, they were low-key smiling. I think Adjis missed a penalty, right?
Huh?
I think Adjis missed a penalty. No, not Adjis. I think the number 8 for Clarendon College. I don't remember his name. He missed his penalty.
Yeah.
And he was, even when the game was done and they won, he was on the ground, like almost crying.
Yeah, Clarendon College, the Doncaster Cup team missed 2 penalties, and both times when they missed the second time being saved by Hakeem Bernard, they were in despair. They were really sad as compared to when Nicola Gale missed his penalty. He was like, whatever, and he just ran back, and they were sitting, and nobody really cared about the Manning Cup. At the end of the day, this is an all-star game. They weren't devastated by any means. What were your thoughts on the performance? Any surprises?
No, not really. The game just didn't. The game overall, it was entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It was a good game to watch. In the second half, yes, it fell off. The game just didn't live up, I believe, to all that it was made up to be. I expected a better performance from both teams. The entertainment factor was great. I expected a bit more showmanship from players like McConaughey or Dejan Richards. I expected a bit more of an all-star game from them. But overall, I enjoyed the performance. Who stood out to me in the second half, man? Damoy Whitfield playing at left back.
Oh my God.
For
Whitfield is outstanding.
Man, that's a footballer, dude.
Damar Whitfield was so good at left back.
Yeah.
He's a natural left back. And Damar Whitfield is a left back.
He's so good.
As far as I'm
He's so
concerned,
good.
he's a left back. He
I
was
saw
so
it.
good. I spoke to him after the game, and I'm like, bro, what an outstanding performance at left back. You were the best left back on the field, and it wasn't even, you were the best wing back on the field. It wasn't even close. And he was he was disappointed that he didn't get to play in the central position. I can tell you that. When speaking to him after the game, he was like, he genuinely believed that he probably should have been the one in his pet CDM role that was occupied for the full 90 minutes by Nicoy Gale. So he was disappointed that he wasn't introduced in that role. But I was saying to him, bro, you were outstanding at left back. You looked like you belong. That is your position. I think you were made to be a left-sided defender, And he was like, we can play everywhere. And keep in mind, this kid is normally very well spoken. He's very well spoken, but you caught him, not off camera, off the record or whatever. And he was like, yo, we can play anyway. Put me in the goal.
So good.
And that's the exact words. And I can see him being a left-sided centre back and still standing out so well because of how good he looks at central defensive midfield. This guy, Damar Whitfield, is criminally underrated. He is not only extremely versatile, but his versatility. You know the saying, master of all trades, or jack of all trades,
He's
master.
master of none. Yeah.
He's a jack of all trades and a master of all trades.
Yeah.
That's how we feel. He's that good in every single position that he plays. That more should be in this camp that was recently called up. I can tell you.
He's good. He's good. He's a very good player.
Ridiculously good. One of the best players in the whole entire Manning Cup this season. Criminally underrated because of the system that he suffered, in my opinion. Playing in that system that Craig Butler insists on having his boys play. I think having Damar Whitfield play the one central role and having two players playing in front of him and just allowing Damar Whitfield to just completely run that central role would have done way better for him. Better yet, you had a deficit for wing backs this season. Play Damar Whitfield at left back and he would have been the best left back in the whole entire Manning Cup. They started at left back with Blaine Byam, very good centre back this season, one of the standout players, Kingston College's captain.
So.
No comparison. Between him and Damar Whitfield, it was not even close. How good of a player. I'm glad you mentioned that. And did we speak about Damar Whitfield in at all of that? We didn't speak about it, but it's so shocking. I was speaking to my father about it, about how underrated it is. It's so shocking that
Bro, I was afraid. I made it my point. I made a point of duty that when I came on the show, I was talking about Allman, I would mention him. Because it went under the radar. The people commenting on the game didn't mention it at all. They didn't talk about him. After the game, no one gave him any plaudits. But I was just watching the game and he didn't lose the ball one time. His passes were always on target. No one beat him for pace, even though he's a central midfielder. He was never out of position. Even though they weren't getting forward much, he was just never out of position.
Blaine Byam looked like a centre-back trying to play left back.
Just look like a left-footed centre-back.
Yeah. Damar Whitfield looked like a left back. In fact, Damar Whitfield is a left back. And he was disappointed that he didn't get to play central defense midfield after the game. I was speaking to him and I was like, Bridging, outstanding performance. I spoke to him after the game and he was like, I should have played on the CD. I said, even though Nicoy Gale was absolutely outstanding as well in the central defensive midfield, but Damar Whitfield, that kid is a baller and he's very intelligent. He has a bright future. He's too underrated and it grieves me. It hurt me to my heart how little this kid is being spoken about.
Yeah, I agree. Another subplot, since we're going through the subplots, a double sub in the middle of the game. A JC man and a stats man getting taken off by the JC head coach and the stats head coach, who were the coaches responsible for this game. Omar Reed and is it Lynch that came off. Oh my God, were they woeful. They were so bad in the game. I don't believe they did anything right. Lynch was so bad. He got an open goal and kicked the ball and I think Romeo Daniels at the time.
No, it was Moy Morgan.
It was Moy Morgan? Yes. Yeah. I'm like, bro, like the ball is basically across the line already. Just kick the ball into the goal. Then we saw Omar Reed, who is a very good player that I like.
Yeah.
He was just running and losing the ball every single time. He couldn't make a 5-yard pass. And then I was wondering, obviously, I didn't expect the double substitution. I didn't expect the substitute to get substituted. But I think Lynch was the glaring one. And I kind of saw that one coming, but then I saw how that could have, started a bit of controversy where, well, I I saw Omar Reed. I expected Omar Reed because he was just so bad. I expected him to come off, and I was thinking, all right, this will probably won't go over well with the stat supporters because the JC head coach is the head coach of the All-Manning team. They will probably say Lynch is playing bad. Why don't you take off Lynch also? But I assume that those coaches, Williams and Ferguson, both are turning to each other and say, "Yo, I feel like I take out them two man. They take out them there, Ferguson talking about Lynch and Williams talking about Reed. I feel like they both had that conversation and say, "Yo, here what? Don't pull one, pull both of them." I genuinely believe that discussion happened, and that's exactly how it happened. No. The conversation was no longer than a minute. And it was just awful from both players, man. That's one of the biggest subplots of this game. How do you feel about those players putting in the worst performance of the day?
Lynch was awful. I spoke to Omar Reed after the game and I was like, good game, ball, and he was like, I literally did nothing today. He said that to me, Omar Reed, and you have to respect that. You have to respect that about him. He was like, I did nothing today, but thank you regardless. Still polite. Omar Reed is a good kid. Not only is he a very good footballer who I think has a big future, Omar Reed is a good kid. And I spoke to him today and I spoke to him after the game. I was like, good game. And he was like, I did nothing today. And he wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
He wasn't wrong. He really didn't do anything in that game, so I guess
so bad, man. It was so bad. It was so bad.
As I said, what am I doing? As I said, it's whatever. At the end of the day, I think Zayn Pinnock was taking it a bit too seriously. And I think the boys should have I think the boys should have done a bit more show about it. I wanted to see. I spoke to Whisper before the game, and I was like, "I guess some salad, I guess some pie." He's like, "No, you're going to see goal." I spoke to Marco and Aldrich as well, and I guess they wanted to come out and win the game, but I thought they should have been a bit more free, I thought they should have been a bit more expressive, take a lot more fire shots, dribble a lot of people. If you lose it, oh well. Zayn Pinnock was really on them about winning the game. Like Zayn Pinnock did not come to lose.
Maybe he just wanted to score.
I don't even think so. I think he was outstanding. He was not. I think he wanted to stand out, not necessarily to score, but I think he wanted to win the game. He really looked like he was like, "You want to stop ramping the game." That's what he was saying. Obviously, in way more words.
Yeah.
No, but he was saying, "Yo, stop ramping the game. Take the game serious." When Saka wasn't playing well, when Macron wasn't playing well, we spoke to Macron after the game, and Macron said he and Zayn are very good friends. Means nothing. Zayn is just very passionate. Macron was cooler. Macron didn't let it get him under his skin. He just my bad, I'll step up my game. I think the Manning Cup team and the Costa Cup team, Romeo Daniels was losing his head throughout the whole game. I think they were taking it a bit too serious. They should have came out with an all-star mentality, but it is what it is.
Yeah, another subpet, and I hate to mention it. I hate to be this guy, but I have to talk about it. Prior to the game, Bijan Richards was spotted wearing Monarch gear. Obviously, it's a part of Phoenix Academy, and there are a couple of Phoenix players in this game. To mention though, Blaine Bayam, he was also not in KC gear, right?
Yeah.
So the KC representative, they were not in KC gear, and this is an awful look. The KC contingency, they weren't there either, right? The team and the coach, they weren't there.
Yeah. Just the two
awful look. Awful look, and it kind of come off as a sore loser type of thing. Where I'm sure they were invited as all the teams were, or most of the teams were. I would expect Kingston College to be invited. They didn't turn up. The players that were a part of the game didn't have on their purple and white, as all of the teams did. Even the Mona team, they didn't have on their colors traditionally.
They had a warm-up suit. They had their Mona warm-up suit, yeah.
There we go. So it's a bad look from Kingston College, and also I don't like the look from Whisper wearing Mona gear. I don't care. You're a part of Phoenix, yes, but you are representing Kingston College in this competition. And I feel like that was just an awful look. I don't know who advised that, but definitely didn't love it. And to the point where everyone knew that it was a bad look, he had to change when accepting his award. So
Yeah,
without even me saying it,
the,
everyone
the,
knew that that was just not the right thing to do.
they unveiled the gears a bit earlier than expected to, because he collected his award in his all money gear as compared to everyone else who, to be honest, he collected all the money cup awards. If I'm going to be fair, but everybody else, for example, George's got the Fair Play Award, and George's wasn't represented by Brian Burkett or by Reed or by any of their standout players. They had a player that I wasn't even familiar with who was there, and Marcel Gale, is that's his name?
Yeah.
He was there as well in his George's attire. But George, even so, George still had people who were dressed in their George's jersey, center contingency. Nobody, there wasn't anybody from KC to receive the awards. When KC got the award for the best attacking team, I think that award was collected by Dijon Richards.
No, that I think that award was it not collected by Donovan Jermaine, or did he
Oh yeah,
present it?
yeah, 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 yeah. It was collected by somebody in management. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
awful look, man. And
why wouldn't that be collected by their captain who was there? He was there, but Casey didn't send a contingency, did they?
I don't like the look. I don't like the look. And this is your chance also to represent the school that you've been working so hard for. You know, you you you're a part of this team. Obviously your team is not here, but you played in this competition. You were the best player for a really good school, and a school that you know prides themselves on their colors and their tradition and their sporting heritage. You know, you wear your purple and white. Yeah, that's just what you do to collect this award, and I didn't like the look. I didn't like the look. I don't know how it came over to other people, but I personally didn't like it.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting that from Kingston College. I would expect Kingston College to have a contingency out there for at least one person or two-person there to go forth and collect their awards. Maybe they weren't expecting to get an award, so that's why I didn't set a contingency. But I mean, Dujan Richards and Blaine Byam both were all-star selections. They both were all-manning players. And we saw Shakon Satchel, we saw we saw Malachi Douglas, we saw Zane Pinnock, we saw Omar Reed, we saw all of them come into the national stadium with their respective school jerseys on, and before kickoff, they would have changed into their all-manning or their all-star jerseys. Just like in the NBA, you'd see all-star Saturday night where they're doing their three-point competition, so on and so forth. They're going to do that in team gear. And then on the Sunday, for the game, they'll come out in their all-star gear. And I think that's what ISA intended for it to look like.
Brilliant idea just came to me.
Hold
Maybe
on.
it's just brilliant to me, but I'm going to say it right now. What if ISA and all of the sponsors introduce that on the All Star game? Some challenges, some crossbar challenges, some skills challenges,
Yeah.
some skill face off and some things like that. That would be really cool, bro.
That's definitely something that they can do before the game. It can be done on the same day, like
Same
right
day.
after the award
Same day.
ceremony. Um, we have to show more support for schoolboy footballers. Though. A game like this and this magnitude, everybody from the Costa Cup and everybody from Manning Cup, Clarendon College traveled better than the All-Star team. Because at the end of the day, they're only Clarendon College. They're not for Jamaican football. And I think we should have done a better job. I think a game like this, we should have the full KC contingent to support Bayam and Richards. The full stats contingency, because best believe in the Manning Cup stats traveled really well. The full Clarendon contingent who outpopulated Mona High School at Sabina Park when they played in the Champions Cup, if you remember. Clarendon
Yep.
College had more supporters than Mona did. And it would have been nice if everybody who supported their respective teams would have come out and support their players in their award ceremony and in the game. I think that could have been a great atmosphere, and I think the game would have been better for it. Until we, as the patrons, start supporting schoolboy football and Jamaican football more, the brilliant ideas that you just proposed probably will not be implemented.
Yeah, and it's so bad, and I try to think about solutions sometimes. I'm wondering if they should just make these games free or give away so many complimentary tickets just to get an atmosphere there, and then next year think about money making. I don't know, but this is just awful to see the best talent. And when we make a video about, we being, journalists and people on YouTube, YouTubers, whatever, when we make a video on Romain Blake or Dijon Richards or, Kingston College or Jamaica College or Clarendon College, we get thousands of views. That means that people are interested in watching these things. These people are interested in these topics and these players. We need to do better. I can't even say the sponsors should do better in marketing it because they did an excellent job this year. But the people are I don't know if they're just not willing to pay the money or I don't know. They can't be bothered, but we definitely need to show some support. This is our review on the All Manning versus All Acosta Cup match, though, people. We're still here. It's Studio Talk. Good show so far. We're here. We're going to talk about the Premier League in the next segment. A big weekend. We saw some derbies. We saw I'd say we saw an upset. We saw some good things.
We saw the best team in world football.
And a lie. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it soon. People, stay tuned to Studio Talk. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Studio Talk, and it is Premier League time again. Finally, we can talk about some Arsenal. What is going on, my brother? How do you feel about, as you said, the best team in world football?
You want to save the Arsenal for last?
Man, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited.
To be totally honest, I expected this. So I didn't necessarily expect to only lose. And the one game that we lost wasn't really to a team. So we're not even losing a game.
We lose that game, man. We lose that game. And it hurt me, but continue.
No, the one team we lose is not a team, so it not really count in the grand scheme of things. Anyways, so to go undefeated to this point, you get me as a barring one hiccup.
Right, even if we count the hiccup, we're 12. Even if we count the hiccup, we're 12 games unbeaten. That is still a big deal. So, loving it. Continue.
Call it 13.
Yeah?
Call it 13.
Yes, call it 13.
I don't believe in second chances, but what I do believe is chances at redemption. And that's exactly what Arsenal will be having next week. A chance to undo the one loss that they got, and I think we'll undo it. But as it relates to the Premier League season, as it relates to the Gunners, man, they look like the best team in Europe. Wouldn't you agree?
We're definitely up there. Right now, we're definitely the most unformed team. We're definitely playing the best football, I believe. So I understand saying that Arsenal are the best team in Europe. I'd love to see us, when the Champions League resume. I'd love to, see us playing against some of those teams and playing against the best teams. Obviously PSG would have something to say about that. But still, Arsenal playing some good football, man. And some of the players playing the way they're playing. We're talking about Saka just being as consistent as it gets. Martin Odegaard being as consistent as it gets. Ben White playing out of his socks. Aaron Ramsey. I can just go on and on all through this.
Ben White is no longer a central defender.
Man, and I believe that if I put him in centre back tomorrow, he might go put in a show-stopping performance. That's just what I believe from Ben White.
At this point, Ben White is a right back. Ben White is the modern right back. He's 6'3". He's strong, but he's powerful, and he still looks technically good. He still looks good on the overlap. Ben White looks outstanding. Saliba started a bit shaky after the World Cup break, but I think he's got his legs back under him, and he responded after two mistakes that would have led to Arsenal conceding in the first two games by coming out strong in this game. Gabriel Magalhaes has retained his leadership role in that back line, looking like the leader of the defense that we expected from him this season. 3 magnificent performances by Gabriel. Oli, Zinchenko, what a signing. What a signing by Mikel Arteta. Not to mention Thomas Partey, who does Thomas Partey things.
No, and that's the one. I feel like Thomas Partey is the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League this year.
And he's definitely been the most consistent midfielder in the Premier League this year. That's for certain. Thomas Partey, I don't think has had less than an 8 all season. He's just been absolutely outstanding all the way through. And Thomas Partey, I think, is the heart and soul of this team. Granit Xhaka has really stepped it up, very consistent, definitely not to the level of a Partey, but Xhaka is so important to this team right now. What he does, outstanding.
You know what I'd say about Granit Xhaka? It's obviously both of them are consistent, but one is consistent at a higher level. Yeah. It's just that Xhaka is always going to give you a 7, and it's always going to be good enough. Partey is always going to give you an 8. Exactly. And then Xhaka is going to give you the odd 8, the odd 9, popping up with the odd goal and assist there and there. So Xhaka is also a consistent player, man, and being one of the best players in the Premier League this year in that box-to-box role.
For
Not
sure.
necessarily up there with the 8 goals and the 9 assists and all of that. But at the end of the day, putting in show-stopping performances, that just not be going under the radar.
And getting himself in the box and getting himself on everything and fighting and leading. Like Granit Xhaka's leadership is underrated. I think Martin Odegaard, is the club captain officially. And don't get me wrong, Martin Odegaard is leading this team very well. Like he's expressed and demonstrated his leadership abilities. But let's face it, I think Granit Xhaka is the de facto leader of this team, and he's really been galvanized as being the veteran in the room. Granit Xhaka is like the oldest one out there. When you think about it, he's like the only one that's bordering on 30 years old, and his wealth of experience, him and Oli, and his wealth, but he's even older than Zinchenko. His wealth of experience is really rubbing off on the boys, and he's taking this team up in hand, and he's taking Odegaard up in hand and allowing Odegaard to be the captain, but definitely helping Odegaard to develop into a great leader. And Granit Xhaka's role on this team is absolutely invaluable. Great player, and it always makes me feel good because Odegaard often gets substituted in the 80th, the 84th. It makes me feel good when Xhaka gets the armband, because it shows that there are two captains of this team. And Granit Xhaka is definitely one of the captains of this team. So every time Odegaard gets substituted and Granit Xhaka gets the armband, it just gives me a sense of satisfaction just to know that, yes, Xhaka, you are indeed one of the captains of this team. And he's definitely showing it this season. But
Yeah, and the other team that played in this game is Tottenham Hotspur. No, obviously I love it. But should they just blow it up right now, sack Antonio Conte and start all over again?
I don't think they should blow it up, but I just don't think Antonio Conte is the man. Like Tottenham in every single game, even against Arsenal, shows that they can play remarkable football. And there is a 10 to 15 minute stint in every single game of football that they play where they look like the best team in the world, where they look unstoppable, whether it be versus Manchester City or whether it be versus Manchester United or whether it be versus Liverpool or Arsenal. There is a period of game that Tottenham will definitively dominate. And there is absolutely nothing that no one, not anyone at all, can do about it. Why then does Conte feel like he needs to sit behind the ball and relinquish position? And I'd understand it if it was successful because I'm a pragmatic guy. So if that's what you're doing, if that's what you're going to do to win games, then I'm all for it. But why sit behind the ball, give a position to a team like Arsenal, go down 2-0, and then start to play good football?
Yeah, because they could have done that from the start, and it's just negative football.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
it's
have,
negative.
you
It's
have good
negative football,
defenders,
man. And the
yes,
talent.
but you're too talented in midfield to be playing like that. The only reason people play that way is because they don't possess the talent in midfield. But you have outstanding midfielders. You have the likes of Sa, you have Horbier, you have so many good players. And then you have creativity from Son. You have the likes of Richarlison who comes off the bench, and not to mention Harry Kane, who's one of the best creative attacking midfielders in the whole entire, one of the most creative attacking players, sorry, not an attacking midfielder. People, I know that Kane is a striker, but Kane is one of the most creative attacking players in the whole entire world. And yet still you just relinquish the ball and have Harry Kane run up and down like a headless chicken. Have Heung-min Son playing like a right back or a left back. What's the point?
Man, you don't play 3 defenders and bench Richarlison. It doesn't just play 4-4-2 or play 4-3, play something. But you don't leave Richarlison on the bench and play 3 defenders. The man he started Dyer, he started Langley, and he started Romero. You don't do that and leave Richarlison on the bench. I don't care. You're at home one. You're in a North London derby that you're expected to win. You don't start with 3 defenders. You just don't play that negative. Also, with a midfielder like Højbjerg, that is a defensive midfielder and a defensive midfielder. He's not. He has no attacking game. So I don't understand Tottenham at the moment.
Can't get it.
Let's talk about another player, though, another team, though. Manchester City, where they robbed against their rivals in the Manchester Derby. What's that goal outside?
100%. Unequivocally. And they might talk about this new rule or whatever. I watched a clip, and had Rashford not been in the play, Akanji would have had a direct path to that ball to play it right back to Edison, and Edison would have restarted the game just like normal. But because Rashford was there, Akanji had to run around Rashford, allowing Bruno Fernandes more time to get to the ball. That's obviously affecting play. You know, Rashford served as a shield to shield Akanji for the ball. And when I saw that, when I saw like there was an edit which removed Rashford from the play, and you saw Akanji had like 5 meters to get to the ball as compared to Bruno Fernandes who had like 15 meters to get to the ball. But because Akanji had to run all the way around Rashford, because if he had run straight through him, then that would have been penalty, right? That would have probably a
Yeah.
free kick, red card. So Akanji couldn't just run straight through him to the ball. He had to run all the way around him, hence impacting the game. Definitely offside.
Man, the rule is interfering with play, and I don't understand how that's not interfering with play. Rashford is damn near almost
Controlling the ball.
not even almost, he's shaping up to kick the ball.
Yeah.
He's over the ball, matter of fact. His guiding foot is there to kick the ball with his left foot. He sets his guiding foot, by the way. If you watch it again,
You don't think that affect Edison?
of course, that affect Edison's position. If he's not there, Edison would not be in the position that he's in.
Yeah.
He'd probably still be on his line because then his defender would have been in a position
Yeah.
to win the ball. He would not be so far out the goal. You know, it's just nonsense to me. And this is what I don't understand about VAR. And that's why some people say just do away with it. Because yes, the wrong decision would have been, upheld anyway. But at the end of the day, the linesman made. Matter of fact, the linesman made the correct decision. The
Yeah.
linesman said that it was offside.
Yeah,
They went to VAR and they called it back. So we have to think about corruption. What is going on here?
What the hell is going on?
We don't even know if this is incompetence anymore, but it is just straight up corruption. Old Trafford, they just couldn't lose this game. I don't know. What is going on? This is madness. And if the rule is interfering with play, I can't imagine how you can see that and think that that is not interfering with play. If the rule is, did not touch the ball,
Yeah.
no, onside, 100% onside,
Sure.
and then that would change football forever.
Yep.
That would change how the game is played. So that is not the rule. So I don't want to hear somebody tell me about touch ball.
Messi would have about 20 more assists in his career.
Imagine people that stand up in an offside position and dummy ball and chill, man, and like how basketball said pick on them thing there. It would change football forever. So it's not about touching the ball. He was interfering with the play. He affected multiple players' position, and that made him offside. Similar to a player blocking a goalkeeper's vision. You're interfering with play. You don't have to touch the ball. So when people try to, and at this point, I even say Manchester United people holding it, and I don't understand this. Yes, it's offside, but we'll take it.
There's no
I
way.
understand, but
There's no way that's not offside.
anybody coming to the defense of the referee here is just, they're crazy and don't really understand football. Let's talk about another game though. People say that this is an upset, but on the back end, when we look at this season, it is not. And it is Brighton over and Albion beating Liverpool 3-0. What is going on in the Merseyside, bro?
I don't know.
Both of your teams doing awful, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. Brighton plays very good football. Brighton plays a bit more direct than they played with Potter, but it's still a good look. Brighton they definitely changed their way since Potter, but they still look very good. McAllister is coming off of a World Cup championship, playing with all the confidence in the world. Danny Welbeck scored what I think was the goal of the weekend, dude. Oh my goodness, Danny Welbeck was doing Neymar type stuff.
Yeah.
That was a Neymar's goal in my opinion. But Liverpool, I don't know. I knew that they would miss Van Dijk, but they were.
Is it just still? Because they were playing bad before even Van Dijk though. Is it just still right now? People just understand now the way that Liverpool plays football and Klopp is a bit sussed out at the moment. Has it just gone still?
Or is it a case where their players aren't playing up to the level that we expect? Like, for example, had we replaced Fabinho with Thomas Partey and replaced Thiago Alcantara with Odegaard, would you have and replacing Matip with Saliba and probably replacing Alisson with Aaron Ramsdale, replacing Mohamed Salah with Miguel Almiron or Bakary Saka, would we then see Liverpool looking better? So is it a case where the players just aren't bringing their game?
And you see, mental fatigue is a serious thing.
Yeah.
And being at the highest point or the highest level of your game for, let's say, the last 5 years, it's been Man City and chasing Man City and chasing Man City. And yes, they won the Champions League and they won the league, but I feel like it's just, it wore on them, man, and chasing Man City all those years definitely wore on them.
And has
The-
it worked
the-
at Man City?
we are going, yeah. It could be a thing where it's wearing at Man City, but you have to understand if you play the same way for 5 years, at some point teams will have a better understanding of what to do when coming up against you. And unfortunately, I feel like mental fatigue also contributes to the way that they're playing. Mo Salah is still Mo Salah. He's still getting into certain positions, but he's just not putting the ball into the goal. Fabinho looks kind of beyond it at this point. I don't understand the fall off. Last year, last 2 years, Fabinho was one of the best midfielders in the world. This year, he's so far off it. Thiago Alcantara getting substitution at 60. Things that I can't even believe that I'm seeing. These players are just so far beyond it, and maybe it's just time to freshen it up. See, they got Cody Gakpo. I believe is a good buy. Not going to change Liverpool fortunes right now, unfortunately for me. They also have Darwin Núñez, who I don't believe will change their fortunes right now, and I feel like he's 2 years removed from his best self. So we're not going to see any immediate solutions right now. What I think they need to do, though, Klopp just needs to get. I see him complaining about money and funds and transfers. I believe that they just need to, switch it up, change it up, sell Fabinho, sell Thiago, sell Matip, and just freshen it up and get some new faces. And Klopp just probably need to add that one or two more tactical.
Or
to his plans.
or is it time? Is it time to push Alexander Arnold and Robertson up the field? Add a third central defender, and play with Henderson and Fabinho in the midfield, and have Salah and Gakpo be inverted and play midfield. Could it be the time for that?
The thing is, I feel like
Henderson and Fabinho holding, and just allow Trent and Andy Robertson to go forth and do what
the thing
they
is,
do.
Trent is a great right back, and Andy Robertson is a great right back. Seeing them at midfield could be a thing, being at right midfield or left midfield, but playing them as attacking players like wingers, I don't know how successful that would be.
Not as in play them at right wing back.
Or
Not
at right
at
wing back, yeah. And start with 3 defenders.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Is it time to just play with Henderson and Fabinho in the midfield?
Klopp no plays up, bro. Klopp no plays up. Klopp thing is all about the 4-3-3, high press, counter press.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So it's time to switch it up. It's time to freshen it up. So it could be play Kanate, Van Dijk when he's back, and Matip. Have
Gomez.
Have Kanate sweep the team or whatever, and you play Trent Alexander-Arnold high up the field, and not force him to do as much not force him to have as much defensive responsibilities. Because though you're playing with a 5, you're still playing with 3 outstanding defenders, and if you have Fabinho and Henderson in that midfield, that would take so much weight off of Robertson and Alexander-Arnold to defend, and you're just like, okay, Trent, go for it and make things happen. Have Salah inverted, have Gakpo inverted. Who knows? That would allow Trent to not worry about defending as much. Robertson has been very good this season. He's been Liverpool's only bright spark this season. I think that would even bring more out of his game. And I think Klopp would consider probably go into this position. Not play defensive, but probably introduce our next central defender and push his wing backs higher and have them be the creative spark, because we're not getting it from Thiago.
Something to consider.
We're not getting it from Oxlade-Chamberlain. We're not getting it from Fabinho. He's not spreading the balls and distributing like he normally does. We're not getting that creativity from Salah. Diaz is out hurt. So I think push
Firmino
the field and
they're suffering with injuries, to be honest. So maybe that is something to consider. To get any form of consistency, you want to have your best players out there, your Firminos, your Jotas, your Diaz, your Van Dijk, and all those players. So I understand, but at the same time, Liverpool supporters, I feel like one thing I have to say, because I'm kind of picky with the fan thing, and I'm not really take football off from anybody. You see these Liverpool supporters that started to support Liverpool just 4 years ago or so, enjoy some Conference League and some Europa League, man. Yeah, man, suffer a little bit, man. Man. Well, can I believe every football supporter, and before you get my respect, you have to go through some dirt with the team. You have to suffer with the team a little bit.
Boy, and speaking about suffering with the team, Chelsea managing to get a result, but let's talk about Chelsea. They've been poor.
Man, and I hope they don't sack Graham Potter, because Graham Potter is a really good manager. I like the way Graham Potter play football. But it's just not working at the moment, and it's a bit inconsistent. In the league, they're not bad, but just overall, the performances are hit and miss. Even when they win games, you find that their performances, based on their performances and the result, they're a bit lucky to win these games. Even this Crystal Palace game, they could have lost this game. Crystal Palace had a lot of chances to score. They just couldn't manage to. Ariza Balaga Kepa, he played really good, outstanding, making some really good saves. But just overall, it's just not quite ticking, and maybe he needs just 1 year under his belt. We saw where Arteta's run started rocky. Ten Hag run started rocky. Even Klopp and Pep, their run started rocky for the first couple of months. Maybe it's just not every manager get that new manager bounce, and unfortunately, I don't think Chelsea is getting it. But I also don't believe that their policy helps. Just going and getting Mudryk or just going and getting Felix.
Players who don't fit.
They don't fit.
Random players. Bro, I'm telling you the truth. When Chelsea outbid Arsenal for Mudryk, I was not upset about it.
No, Mudryk is not. Mudryk is not a $100 million player. He's just not.
I was not upset about it. I was like, your chemistry is going good right now, and I don't think that's necessarily the position. Like, if I was the Arsenal manager, I think the first thing I would do if I had a lot of money, I would buy. Apologies to Ben White, sorry, I call him Benjamin affectionately. Apologies to Ben White, he's been so good. I'd go out and I'd probably buy a Hakimi or somebody like that, like a solid true right back.
You know what I would buy? And apologies to Granit Xhaka. I just go out and buy a box-to-box midfielder who's just at the top of his game. Like, so obviously, I like Granit Xhaka at this point.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've made a 360. I like Granit Xhaka, but I believe that there are other places. The point that you're making, there are other places that Arsenal needs.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go from Mudryk. I would take him and I would take him as a good player. So I would introduce him into the team. But I am happy that Chelsea outbid us right now. That's not something that we need in our team.
Even Chelsea, what are they going to and what is happening with this financial fair play, bro? Like where are these players going to go? When Sterling come back, where am I gonna go? ZH, we'll talk about Pulisic. Where are these players going to go? Potter now have 2 teams to play. They bought the left back Cucurella, and they still had guy from Leicester, name again, Chilwell.
Yeah, when they unloaded Alonso, sent him to sub. I think they'll be doing a lot of unloading, but the January transfer window is almost coming to an end, so they'll be stuck for the next 4 months with a ton load of talent that don't fit. They just don't fit. The thing about this Arsenal team is that they fit like glove.
You don't need to have the best players. You need to have the players that are best for what you want to do. So there you go. Obviously, let's run over some of the other results. We don't necessarily talk about them. Southampton getting a big result at Everton, 2-1. Nottingham Forest picking up a big result at Leicester City. I feel like Leicester City wants to sack Brendan Rodgers, but they just probably haven't found the manager that they want.
But every single time them go for sack him, Leicester put together like 4 runs of beautiful performances, and it's like, okay, we can't sack him. And then as soon as Leicester play good, like them just drop back in a slump again and just lose some games that they shouldn't be losing. And it's like, how do you manage to just look like you're going to make a push for the Europa League after starting like a relegation team and then start playing badly again, like just losing that weird game? I don't get it. Leicester is so inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree. West Ham, David Moyes with a talented squad, but just being very inconsistent. In fact, not even inconsistent, just being poor.
I think it's time to take the $170 million for Declan Rice and distribute the wealth like the mid-table team that you are. Like, I think they've been trying to keep good talent together, but West Ham is not that.
The push is just not coming. Not coming. They were in the Europa League 2 years ago, and the push is just not happening. They expect to keep the Declan Rices, and they got the Scamacas, and they had the Lanzines, and all those players that are talented players, trust me. But it's just not coming together. They're just not breaking into that champion. They pushed in it for the last 2 years. They pushed on that top 4 spot, sitting in top 4 positions for numerous months, and then just at the end falling out of it and going all the way down to 8 and 9.
I don't think they have the capability to do it. I don't think they have the resources. I don't think they have the name to do it. West Ham is just not that club. So I think at this point, they cash in on Declan Rice, distribute the wealth, and try to be a Europa League team, rather than trying to keep the Champions League talents and just not putting the pieces around them. So,
and how long will he settle for that, knowing that you're on the verge of being the best midfielder in the world? Because I believe that Declan Rice has that talent. He's just not in the system. Declan Rice in Man City or in Arsenal or in Liverpool could possibly be the best player in the world, the best midfielder in the world.
He starts in all of those teams. I think up against Rodri for Manchester City, he probably starts. Up against Thomas Partey, based on form right now, it's Partey, but Declan Rice is probably a better player. He starts 100 out of 100 times in Liverpool and Chelsea. He starts in Newcastle. So I think they're cashing right now
He
and don't
goes
let
to PSG and he starts. He goes to
no,
Juventus and starts. He goes to Real Madrid and
exactly.
starts. He goes to
Exactly.
Barcelona and starts.
Yep.
Like, he's that good.
So cash in before this guy becomes a free agent.
Yeah.
Don't let Arsenal get him for free.
West Ham lost that game 1-0 to Wolves. It's not a team that you want to lose at the moment.
Yeah.
Brentford picking up those points. They won against Bournemouth 2-0, expected to get that result. Newcastle, man, they will just not stop. And I expected this game to end in a draw. They beat Fulham 1-0. Crazy. Newcastle are a serious threat. And I believe that people need to take Newcastle serious now before them pull a Leicester City and win a Bridget.
They're not
You
gonna.
see, the thing is, they have one game a week. You see me? Everybody, they are kind of an underdog in the top 4 thing right now, where nobody really expects them to finish in the top 4. Now, I obviously expect them to do that because I'm taking them serious at this point. No, but people are expecting them to do a Leicester City a couple years ago or a West Ham, where they're in the top 4, they're pushing and they're beating a couple teams here and there and sitting in the top 4, sitting third or sitting fourth, and then at the end just fall out. That's what a lot of people are expecting.
That's not them.
me. I'm actually expecting this team to push for the title, bro. They are that good and their coaching is so good.
I think though Newcastle will stay in the top 4, I think they still have the odd loss in them here and there, which will prevent them from competing with Man U, Man City, and Arsenal. So I think they will finish.
Man United.
I think they will finish. They will finish in fourth place and get a Champions League spot. I genuinely do believe Newcastle are the real deal and are one to look out for. But I don't think they'll be competing for the championship. But Newcastle, big team. Kieran Trippier, Nick Pope,
Man, take
Burn,
them serious. Believe me, take them serious. Newcastle, they're on the rise.
and Manu. We can finish it off with Manu. We can speak about.
Manchester United. Oh my God. I said it. I said it a couple months ago that Manchester United supporters, they can start to get excited because Ten Hag is a very good coach. The thing is that his football is not pretty. It's not pretty at all. But he gets the result and he knows what he wants to do. He just gets the ball to the attackers and allows them to be free. I don't necessarily see much systemic play from them. I don't necessarily see the tactic that he's funneling through the team. But they win that ball fast. They get it to Rashford. While Bruno plays that ball, he doesn't hold on to it. You realize Bruno leg of the ball?
Yep.
Bruno play those 2 passes. He's getting the ball over the top. He's spreading the ball wide. I just getting the ball to Rashford. And Rashford is just, being the man for them at the moment. So man, Garnacho stepping up for them.
Yeah, that's what I was
Ten Hag
saying.
is where they started.
Rashford, outstanding player right now for me. It's between Rashford and Odegaard for players of the season to this point, and Haaland, of course. Oh no, Haaland hasn't scored in one game. He's now the worst thing.
Two game.
Oh, he scored the game before last.
No, Alan has scored not 2 game now, Virgin. Not 2 game week now, Alan has scored. Or 2 games.
Haaland never scored this week, but didn't he score the week before last?
Think so.
He did. He never scored. He never played in the cup games, but I think.
Think so.
All right, let's see.
Alan did not score. Game week 19 did not score. Game week 20 did not score. I'm telling you.
Interesting.
The 2 game week. Is it time? Fantasy show come for the people. Fantasy show come. Is it time to take Alan out to your team?
Has
We're
Haaland
gonna get to it. Eh?
dropped form?
Huh?
Has Haaland dropped form?
Ooh, it's a conversation to have. Obviously, I want to give him 1 more game. I don't want to give players 3 games.
Well,
So I'm going to give him 1 more.
Play Tottenham tomorrow.
All right, let's see. People, still they talk that in a bro. Another one, as them would say. Are we that? I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I really enjoyed this episode. Some good talk. We spoke about Coach Hallgrimson touching down on the island and hitting the ground running. We also spoke about the Almanic versus Alda Costa Cup game. And then we ended up the conversation with the Premier League show of the week. Then we spoke about Man City getting robbed. Spoke about Arsenal being the best team in the world. We spoke about Chelsea and Leicester and West Ham and some of those teams that just can't quite get it together. And then we spoke about Man City and Holland. We spoke about, we touched all bases, basically. People, it was a good show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have anything to add to the discussion, put it in the live chat, please. please put in the live chat, put in the comment section, talk to us, communicate with us. We're there in the live chat, man. So do it. Anything else you want to say to the people before we go, bro?
Not much. Just love this side at Sports TV.
Yeah, and a lie. People, for no, not yet. Don't forget to like the show. Leave a comment on this one and subscribe to this side at Sports TV. One more thing though.
Share the video to at least 10 people to ensure to get us 6 subscribers. Because if each and every one of you guys can do that, you know how many subscribers that'll get us by the end of the day?
Yes. For now, this was Studio Talk from this side at Sports TV.
And we're out.
We're out. Another one.